Welcome back to the CSP Elite Baseball Development Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Cressey, and this is another edition of Pinch Hit Friday. Today, I want to talk to you about the thumb, a super important muscle that's really heavily overlooked, really in all sports, but especially in the baseball community. And in order to kind of intro this conversation, I think there's a really good sports medicine parallel, and that's the big toe. Obviously, and anatomically, the way we evolved, these structures make perfect sense as being similar. And if you get a chance, go back and listen to Dr. Ryan Hansen's podcast we did a while back, really about foot and ankle health, because there are some really analogous conversations I think that take place there. But we know a lot in athletes who are sprinting, changing direction, that a limited function, what particularly with respect to mobility of the big toe, can lead to a lot of problems, right? You can wind up with a bunion because you kind of turn out and develop these adaptive responses. Maybe someone who winds up with a turf toe scenario, and certainly you start to take care of the feet, working on big toe mobility, wearing toe spacers, doing things to strengthen the intrinsic muscles of your feet. A lot of people see alleviation of chronic Achilles tendon issues and knee problems and hip problems. So there's massive impacts further up the chain, and really I think the thumb, in a baseball community or really any kind of racket sport, overhead throwing type community is a very analogous structure. One of the things that Ryan talked about in that podcast is kind of how claustrophobic the foot joint is. You have a lot of stuff coming together in a really small area, and the hand is no different. In fact, you have 9 muscles that are involved in thumb motion. So it's a really small area. Obviously, there's not a lot of cross section off from muscle mass there, and much of these muscles are tendinous, but you really have to think a lot about how that really claustrophobic structure can create tissue density, where there's just a lot of fibrosis, particularly when people are gripping constantly and not really getting a lot of perfect full range of motion through that thumb. And what I think about is that the thumb interacts with the baseball on every single pitch that's thrown on a baseball field. It's hard to say that for all of the fingers, but certainly the thumb is involved on a ton of different things. It's probably the individual finger on the hand that provides the most friction to the baseball for the majority of pitches, whether you're throwing a circle changeup, whether you're throwing a spike curveball, whether you're trying to really grip a hard slider. And I think the workload is certainly highest in this area, but this is especially true with the crackdown that's taking place on sticky stuff in Major League Baseball, because the thumb is so intimately involved with gripping. So I do think we've seen more and more stress on the thumb in recent years, and we have to take a little bit of a closer look on how we can keep athletes healthy, both at the hand and further up the chain. But I think it's also important to appreciate the muscles of the thumb really have a strong eccentric capabilities on the trailing slash top hand during a swing, because that's how the bat effectively overcomes the velocity of a baseball. If you can imagine, like that classic barrel in the zone position where the shoulder's a little bit more externally rotated, the forearm is supinated, and the hand is kind of laid back. If you don't have strong thumb there, the bat just kind of flops out of your hand, or you run the risk of winding up in a dangerous position of excessive supination, which can create wrist issues. So really adequate range of motion in the thumb really allows the barrel to lay back, remain in the zone long enough so it works, hand in hand with supination of the forearm, external rotation of the shoulder. And perhaps unsurprisingly, if you think anatomically, several of the muscles that work on the thumb, probably most notably the flexor pollicis longus, actually attaches further up on the forearm, just short of the elbow. So, if you really want to think about this, conceptually, I would just encourage you, put your arm at your side, bend your elbow to 90 degrees, and look down at your hand with your palm up, and just take note of how much forearm motion takes place just as you move your thumb, around, move it towards the midline of the hand, move it further away, pinch it together with the other fingers. You'll realize that there certainly are quite a bit of muscle activities that are not necessarily just specific to the hand, but they work further up the forearm. So, likewise, if you look at like the fascial manipulation community, they spend a lot of time looking at fascial lines and treating, these long chains. So we've often see athletes where they have chronic elbow and shoulder problems, and you get in and you work on a hand, you work on the meaty part on the inside of that thumb, and they see a dramatic reduction in symptoms or improvements in ranges of motion further up. I've heard over the years that the hands and the feet have more proprioceptors than the rest of the body combined. So these are how you interact with the world. So the biggest takeaway from today is take care of the thumb. what you can do is just when you're sitting in traffic, listening to this podcast, and you're waiting for the cars to move, just start palpating the medial aspect of the thumb. So get in on the kind of the webbing of the hand and just kind of feel for tissue density in there, and especially on your dominant side. But we've seen scenarios where athletes use lacrosse balls or golf balls just to kind of roll out the palmar fascia. But if you are seeing a good manual therapist, you have an athletic trainer, a physical therapist, or massage therapist who's willing to work on you, have them dig in on that hand, because you wouldn't be surprised to see that it reveals some pretty significant changes in range of motion or symptoms. So give it a try, and hopefully it works out well for you. This episode is brought to you by AG1, the most comprehensive NSF certified for sport daily nutritional supplement I've ever tried. With so many stressors in life, it can be difficult to maintain effective nutritional habits and give our bodies the nutrients they need to thrive. As a father of 3 young kids and a co-founder of multiple businesses in multiple states, on top of still being an avid exerciser, I know that busy schedules can really take their toll on us. Whether it's poor sleep, exercise or life stressors, environmental factors, or simply not eating enough of the right foods, we can often wind up deficient nutritionally. This is where AG1 can really help. It's a game-changing nutritional insurance policy. They simplified the logistics of getting optimal nutrition on a daily basis by giving you just one thing with all the best things. That's why I use it daily, as do several of my family members, and we recommend it to a lot of our top athletes. One scoop of AG1 contains 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients that work together to fill the nutritional gaps in your diet to support energy, focus, digestion, and recovery. And this can all happen for less than $3 per day and without taking multiple products. While most nutritional supplements come to market and stay stagnant, AG1 continues to obsessively improve this one holistic formula based on the latest research, producing over 50 improvements in the last decade alone. They invest in the most absorbable and natural source of each ingredient and go above and beyond in third-party testing to ensure their customers continue to receive the highest quality and best tasting nutrition habit on the planet. Whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it'll work for you, and it contains less than 1 gram of sugar per serving. They put 75 ingredients through the rigorous NSF certification test to come up with a safe formula that's trusted by some of the world's top athletes, including many of our own at Cressey Sports Performance. Right now, AG1 is giving our listeners a special offer of 10 free travel packets with their first purchase. Just head to drinkag1.com/Cressey and claim this special offer. These travel packets are perfect for supporting your immune system, energy, and gut health while you're traveling for games, training, or simply on the go. They can be great counterbalance to the less than ideal on-the-road food options that are out there for a lot of our traveling baseball players. So if you want to bridge the gap between deficient and optimal and give yourself the best chance of getting nutrient diversity, head to drinkag1.com/Cressey to get 10 free travel packets with your first purchase. Again, that's drinkag1.com/Cressey, Cressey. You won't regret it.